Sure, Victor Wembanyama had 41 points, but it was Steph Castle who was a team-high plus 24 on the evening. Also, that 36-win swing thing I was talking about yesterday, yeah, that was bad math. No bad math today. Let's go!
You are Locked On Spurs, your daily San Antonio Spurs podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
Hello and welcome back to Locked On Spurs, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, now the number one sports podcast network in the world. My name is Matthew Tynan, and on today's show, we're going to get into more Victor Wembanyama talk because a 41-point, 16-rebound game makes it worthy of it. And look, the race is on, especially if he kind of has a better game than Shai Gilgeous-Alexander did on Monday night. And then second of all, we're going to get into the thing that might make or break the Spurs this postseason when all is said and done. But first, I want to talk about the reigning Rookie of the Year. That's right, Steph Castle. It really is crazy when you look across this roster, and especially when you have Victor Wembanyama, that some of these guys, like a Steph Castle, even a De'Aaron Fox, obviously Keldon Johnson, Devin Vassell, these guys that have been around for, Vassell and Keldon are the two elder statesmen on the team in terms of actual tenure with the team. And because of the giant towering presence of Victor Wembanyama, these guys tend to take a back seat, even though they come with accolades of their own. And I want to get into what Steph Castle has done this year because we are entering territory where he is worthy of discussion of being in the race to make one of the All-NBA teams, and not the first or second or anything like that. But there certainly is an argument at this point for not only the all-defense team, but the actual all-NBA team itself. He has largely, for the most part this year, yes, Fox is the guy with the max contract. Yes, De'Aaron Fox is the guy who, when the game is on the line in the fourth quarter in close games, he's the guy with the ball in his hands for the most part. He's the guy running pick and roll with Victor Wembanyama for the most part. But for the majority of the game outside of that, this team, for much of the season, the reins have been given to Steph Castle. And I think just the spike, the jump in his assist numbers, he's the best alley-oop tosser on the team, which turns out is pretty valuable when you have an alien that can go grab a basketball that's 13, 14 feet in the air, up there where nobody else can get it. Nobody throws lobs quite the way that Steph Castle does. But aside from that, the assist numbers are crazy, leading the team in assists pretty comfortably. And it's like that night after night. Not only that, he's a triple-double threat with the rebounding. The scoring and the efficiency inside has only continued to get better. But the part that really jumps out, and this is where, when you had the conversations about how good of a player Stephon Castle was going to be as his career progressed, you had sort of two different thoughts. You had two different you kind of had a party line, basically, where it was the people who love to use the eye test, the people who love to watch the game and see the way he defends and the physicality with which he plays and the aggression with which he attacks the rim. That side of the debate would tell you this guy is very clearly going to be maybe not like a superstar or anything like that. There are certain limitations to his game, at least right now, that will prevent him from reaching some sort of crazy ceiling. But he was definitely bound to be star level, fringe all-star, maybe even just all-star outright. That's kind of how they tend to reward good teams in the NBA. They give you a couple of all-stars. And Victor Wembanyama and De'Aaron Fox, for instance, this year. I know Fox was a replacement, but there are going to be replacements every year. And it's not crazy to think that Steph Castle might get that honor at some point along the way. But I think the big area of improvement that is obvious at this point. And the big question mark that we had for Castle, and not just Castle, but a couple other guys on that team, and we'll get to that in a second. But the big question was the three-point shooting. Since the All-Star break, and by the way, Castle was a guy who shot sub 30% from three last year. Remember that. Since the All-Star break, Steph Castle is shooting north of 40%. There's been, from the start of the season until now, there's been one pretty obvious change in his shot diet, and that would be the fact that, if you'll remember, if you go all the way back, he used to feel pretty comfortable stepping into those pull-up threes, or when guys would sag off him, he'd shoot the ball off the dribble. Not his strong suit, not yet at least, but the spot-up numbers have gone crazy. I am going to bring Tyler Prince in here, producer Tyler Prince, to kind of bounce this off of him. I mean, to the actually, I want to see what side of the line you were on. I know where most Spurs fans were at this point last year. Very excited about Steph Castle, but like, where did you, as a fan of the Spurs, envision his ceiling would be?
I mean, I still don't think we've seen his ceiling, but I think
fair.
His floor is an elite defender. And if we get, efficient offense out of him, that's a plus, right? I think he's a shoo-in for all NBA, and I think he's like, right there with the guys who could be a shoo-in for all defense, and right there with the guys who could be like all NBA third team.
Yeah,
for sure.
Yeah, I mean, I think you're right about the shoe-in for all defense. It's you look at the success that a team like this is having, and where I can see the benefits creeping in, or where I can see this being impacted in a way, is how people are going to view the winning part of everything. I believe that in general, those selections, those votes do tend to go to the guys who are responsible for a lot of winning. And right now, the Spurs are the number 2 team in the Western Conference. It's not over yet. The race with the Thunder is not over yet, but you're starting to run out of games. We'll see how it all pans out. But this is a guy that's starting to impact the game in just about every way imaginable, and he's doing so with a great level of efficiency. And I think, if whether you're an unbiased observer or a fan, I think it's something you got to be impressed by.
Absolutely. I mean, the thing that's been so impressive this year, I think, is his improvement as a passer and as a playmaker. I did not have that on my bingo card as like the big jump he was going to make this season.
Yeah, Steph Castle, point guard. He always said he was one. Remember when he was coming into the draft, he's like, I'm a point guard. People were trying to make him a forward. I think he's proving a lot of people in general wrong. But he was in high school, and he was a McDonald's All-American. He was a point guard. He really is starting to show us a lot of those skills. Coming up, again, I'm going to tell you what I think. And look, this Steph Castle plays a major role in this. I'm going to tell you what I think is going to just straight up make or break this team in the postseason. Coming up. Welcome to the 5-Hour Energy Flavor Draft. With 18 different flavors to choose from, including new options like Confetti Craze, Fruity Rainbow, or Cotton Candy, there's something for everyone, literally everyone. The board is set, the flavors are ready, and I've got my number 1 pick for the 5-Hour Energy Flavor Draft, and that would be, drum roll please, of course, Sour Apple, the apple that bites back. A crisp, tangy taste, deliciously tart, bold, a little sweet, and a lot sour. Look, Sour Apple, can't go wrong with it. Although I would say that if there was one alternative that I would like to look at, Confetti Craze, sweet birthday cake inspired flavor, notes of vanilla frosting, and sugary sprinkles. Who doesn't like that? Honestly, 5-Hour Energy shots give you a boost with 0 sugar, no jitters. That's kind of what you're looking for regardless of flavor. So find your new favorite flavor of 5-Hour Energy shots, available online at 5hourenergy.com or Amazon. Workplace chaos, past due deadlines, you need help, but good help is hard to find. When the pressure's on and you need the right hire, it's time to try Sponsored Jobs. Indeed, Sponsored Jobs helps you reach the right people, skills, experience, location, so you can get back to running your business. How about this? In the minute I've been talking to you, companies like yours made 27 hires on Indeed worldwide, according to Indeed data. Spend less time searching and more time actually interviewing candidates who check all your boxes. Less stress, less time, more results. When you need the right person to cut through the chaos, this is a job for Indeed Sponsored Jobs. And listeners of this show will get a $75 sponsored job credit to help you get your job the premium status it deserves at Indeed.com/podcast. Just go to Indeed.com/podcast right now and support our show by saying you heard about Indeed on this podcast. Indeed.com/podcast. Terms and conditions apply. Need to hire? This is a job for Indeed Sponsored Jobs. All right, it is time to talk about more three-point shooting. But first, remember, get your first month of the Everydayer Club for free when you use the code MARCH. You'll unlock ad-free episodes and entry into our private listener group chat where I'm hanging out daily. Click the link in the show notes or go to lockedonspurs.supercast.com to claim your free month. That's lockedonspurs.supercast.com. All right, Tyler. So I don't think that I hate to be this reductive in general. And I just think that overall, especially in today's NBA, this largely rings true for anybody. But I think just given what we've seen, not out of another thing, we keep talking about all this stuff over the last few days where it's like, didn't see that coming, didn't see that coming, didn't see that coming. I didn't see, even to start the year, even as we got going in the first few weeks of the season, I didn't see San Antonio becoming like one of the best half-court offenses in the NBA. I thought that they would largely live out of, you can't live in transition and be successful, but you can really push the pace. You can get out in semi-transition. You can take advantage of it whenever you get the chance. And when you have guys like, Steph Castle and De'Aaron Fox and Dylan Harper and Devin Vassell and Keldon Johnson and obviously Victor Wembanyama as a trailer or a rim runner is devastating in transition. So you have all these weapons, but I think, and I know that I'm not just, I'm speaking for myself, but I know that I'm not speaking for only myself when I say that this was a team that most critics, most media members, most fans, I would say, this was a team that didn't quite have the three-point shooting in the eyes of many. Since the All-Star break, that has not at all been the case. I want to go down a list of Spurs regulars since the All-Star break in terms of three-point shooting. Are you ready for this?
I'm so ready for this.
Since the All-Star break, Devin Vassell, 47.8%. Dylan Harper, 46.3%. Harrison Barnes, after his, little, old man injury type of thing, little sabbatical.
The man needed a break.
Hey,
okay?
listen,
we're the same age. I can't imagine playing that many games.
I'm going to share a story real quick. I'm not making fun of Harrison Barnes because the following happened to me. One morning I woke up, I could not lift my foot. I could move my legs and all this stuff, could not lift my foot. Just out of the blue one night, just fell asleep, pinched a nerve, couldn't move my foot. Turns out I had drop foot. I had to wear a brace for like 3 months just to help me walk, just so I wouldn't trip on things. And it's because I literally pinched here, this one's for the medical doctors in the chat. I believe it's called the perineal nerve. I pinched it
I have no
somehow
idea.
In my sleep. It's a big nerve that runs from your back all the way down through your foot. And apparently nerves heal at a rate of only a millimeter per day. So I lost control of my foot, my ability to move it. It was literally just hanging there for like 3 months. I mean, little by little, I was getting motion back, but
like when it falls asleep,
like kind of like that.
Ugh.
I had to wear a brace that lifted my toes up as I walked. Anyway, that's neither here nor there. Just know that if I'm making fun of Harrison Barnes for like pinching and injuring his ankle while he's sleeping, I don't have any room to talk. Just know that. And you can throw it right back in my face. I don't mind. Anyway, where was I before I got?
Is that what happened?
It was a nerve impingement with Harrison Barnes.
Okay.
I don't think that was it, because he's out there playing basketball. If whatever he did or whatever I did happened to him, he'd be out for the rest of the season. I swear to God, it was that crazy. Anyway, all right.
Yeah.
Devin Vassell, 40. Oh, this is all post All-Star. Devin Vassell, 47.8%. Dylan Harper, 46.3%. Harrison Barnes, 44.3%. Julian Champagnie, 42.6%. Jordan McLaughlin, 40%. Steph Castle, 40%. Keldon Johnson, 38.5%. I mean, like, the list goes, look, and it kind of goes all the way down. Victor is kind of hit a little bit of a cold streak and hasn't been great from three since after the All-Star break. He's down to 32.2% from three since February.
Yeah.
And
he had some tonight.
He did. And yeah, he hit some on Monday. He hit some Monday night. Let's see. I'm going back into the I took the box score down. It doesn't matter. I think
if there was like any criticism of Victor is when he's tired, he just kind of chucks shots up there sometimes.
He does have a tendency to sort of sink into that, like, taking shots that he can get at any point, anytime within the offense. Right. He can be kind of guilty of that. But yeah, he did go 3 of 6 against the Bulls, so he certainly helped his case. But one thing that I did notice against the Bulls, and like, Billy Donovan is a really good coach, and he does some things that you see Mitch Johnson do at times, where like the Spurs will identify players that they want them to shoot the basketball. Like, they say, we're daring you to shoot. This person's been cold. We don't believe that they can just, over the course of an entire game, beat us from three. Like, they pick and choose where they want to guide the ball, so to speak. And we've seen this with other teams a little bit less and less, just because of how good they've been from three over the last couple of months. But like, we still see it with guys like Steph Castle, where, man, there was a possession where they just left him in maybe midway through the second quarter or something like that. They just completely left him alone at the top of the key, and he buried one. And then he got a little bit hot from there, a little bit cocky. He even pulled one from like 35 feet at one point, 30 plus feet.
He pulled like 2 from there, hit the first one, and then I know the second one was short.
He got a little bit ahead of himself there. But I just think that as we've watched this team as we have watched this team develop, as we've seen them find their strengths, as we've watched them really limit turnovers, become excellent executing in the half court, I still think that in do or die situations, again, like I said, this kind of sounds obvious, but it's going to be about hitting 3-pointers, because teams, when the playoffs start, they're going to test Steph Castle in that environment, in that atmosphere. They're going to test Dylan Harper. Like, I think they're probably going to end up testing everybody, and they'd rather Victor Wembanyama pull threes rather than watching him, run to the rim, watching him in pick and rolls. Like, that's the option that they would prefer.
Well, so yeah, I mean, because it doesn't matter. Like, if he's hitting threes, it doesn't matter anyway. So I would rather make him shoot threes.
I see, and that's kind of why I'm saying, like, I think that this is going to be the make or break part of what happens with the Spurs in the postseason. Because, like, if they're hitting a respectable number of their threes, I'm not even talking about like you got to shoot 45% from three every night.
No,
I'm talking about like if you shoot north of whatever, like 36, 37%. Like, if you're in that mid to upper 30s, if you're shooting that way from three, this team is going to be so damn hard to beat. Forget it if they're hot. But I think over the course of the playoffs, especially when the pressure's on, teams are going to pressure test them. They're going to see what these young guys are made of, what their nerves are made of. Speaking of nerves and all that, see if they have nerves of steel and don't get pinched perineal nerves and lose control of their feet for 3 months. Oh my God. It's the oldest thing that's ever happened to me. It wasn't even that old. It was like, I was like 35, 36 years old when that happened. I don't know. But yeah, how's that for a hot take, Tyler? 3-point shooting is going to be important. The only reason I bring it up is because this was a team that we didn't see as possessing 3-point shooting ability that wasn't supposed to be their strength, I guess is what I'm trying to get at. So to see them where they are today, a huge part of it is because they have become at least a middle of the pack and a lot of times like creeping into that top 10 in terms of 3-point shooting. And I just think that that's been critical for them.
Absolutely. I mean, when you have an elite defense, when you're really good at getting in the paint and you can win games like that, even when you can't hit threes, even just being like okay at them is going to open up so much for you. Shout out Julian Champagny, who's been on a tear all season.
All season, man.
He's a little icy hot, but I
love it. He's very much like Danny Green, and he has a great chance to break his record before the season ends. And we'll be keeping an eye on that one because it's right around the corner. All right, up next, it's Victor Wembanyama time. You all love Victor Wembanyama time, so we'll talk a little bit more about his MVP caliber performance against the Bulls. Be right back. It is tax time, but for a lot of us, the old way of doing taxes it's a lot. Trying to book an appointment that's not the most convenient, sitting in a waiting room with a stack of papers, emailing back and forth, wondering if they really get your situation. But this year, you're getting a major upgrade. Intuit TurboTax now has in-person locations nationwide. You can meet face-to-face with a real tax expert, and your documents get uploaded straight to your TurboTax app on the spot. And just like that, you're done. Your TurboTax expert works to get you every dollar you deserve while you get real-time notifications as you go about your day. It's the relief of walking in and meeting a real person and walking out knowing your taxes are being handled right. Head to turbotax.com/local to find a store near you and book your appointment. All right, last segment of the show. Let's talk about the MVP race. And look, man, Tyler, on a normal night, you would look at the kind of game that Victor Wembanyama had in another convincing win. You can look at the fact that the Spurs are 25-1 since February 1st in the games that he plays. Against the Bulls on Monday night, he goes for 41 points, 16 rebounds, 4 assists, 3 blocks, I believe, in just 31 minutes. And then you stay up a little bit longer and you see Shai Gilgeous-Alexander take over down the stretch against the Detroit Pistons, drop 47 points on them. A lot of huge shots down the stretch. Frankly, could have buried them toward the end of regulation, but got called for a little bit of an extended arm push off by the book.
Shock that was called. It was a foul, but shock that was called.
Yeah. And I just kind of look at the 7 games remaining for the Spurs. I think the Thunder also have that. I don't know exactly how many games left the Thunder have.
Yeah.
But I fear that time is dwindling, sir. And there was a chance for the Detroit Pistons to do some damage to Shai's MVP case tonight, and it wasn't to be. It's not over. The race is not over. Oklahoma City still has some difficult opponents coming up, but and by the way, the Spurs do too. Like if Victor Wembanyama has huge games against Jokic and the Nuggets, if he has a huge game against, the Clippers, which is a team they might have to play in the first round. You never know. But with each performance like that from Shai, it's like the nail is just being driven a little bit more. I know that there are going to be people who disagree with me. I understand that. I already made my case a couple of days ago. A lot of people got mad at me, but I can sit here and say and this is just my opinion, my objective opinion, I can sit here and say that I believe that Victor Wembanyama these days on a night-to-night, minute-by-minute, possession-by-possession basis, if you want to say he's the most impactful player in the NBA right now, I wouldn't argue with you at all. In fact, I'd say that the stats support that. But season long, and the fact that Shai just keeps doing this in clutch time, the fact that it feels like he never misses a shot when the game is on the line. In the final 5 minutes, in a game that's decided by 5 points or fewer, it feels like he never misses. And he did it again against the Pistons, who, as we know, I know that they were undermanned. The Thunder were too a little bit, but that's a great defense. He got 47 on them. He's unbelievable, and I just fear that time is running out for old Victor.
Yeah, I mean, look, there's who I think should be MVP, and there's who has the momentum from being MVP last year and from his team winning a championship and for him legitimately having a great season.
Yeah.
Victor said was that a week ago now? A little over a week ago
a week ago, last Monday.
He said, "I intend to leave no doubt." Well, SGA has something to say about that. Yeah. So, I mean, Victor went out there tonight and played like he intends to leave no doubt, but SGA is a really good player too. I mean,
we can talk about that too, by the way. Victor came out like that was a game where I think there has obviously been some discussion about his counting stats. You're not gonna question his shot blocking, his rebounding, things like that, but maybe his scoring a little bit, especially when you compare it to guys like Shai, Luka, Jokic on some nights when he really needs to score. But Victor came out looking for his shots against the Bulls. And frankly, that's kind of what you have to do. This is not a team that you don't want them to get away from what they do well, right? Like, you don't want them to suddenly just become Victor is shooting the ball a whole bunch of times. That's not who they are. But in a situation like this, like, let's see if he can get hot early, and let's see if he can grab some momentum and just go crazy, right? I mean, nobody really has a problem with that.
And if he's active, he can get a lot of easy buckets, and they're going to find him for him.
Yeah.
And he has to be active like this every night, whether the shot's going down or not, because all his activity is what creates all the space for everybody else.
Correct.
But yeah, I mean, I think if you were going to criticize Victor's offensive game, sometimes he is inefficient. And especially when he's playing against guys that have a lot more size on him in the post and can push him around, he has some inefficient games. But you know what? He's 22 years old, and he's a top 3 candidate, in my opinion, for MVP in his 3rd season.
Yeah, so I don't even think that's not even like an opinion at this point. I mean, I guess you can people will still make the argument that he's outside of Luka and Jokic. I don't agree with that. I think he's top 2.
I think he's definitely having a better season than Luka. Nikola Jokic is averaging a triple-double.
I know. He's... The only thing that's hurting him is the team record. That's it. Right. They've had a ton of injuries. He's just
he missed a bunch of games too, though.
Yeah.
So like, the great thing about the MVP conversation is it's subjective, but I'm going to objectively say that I think Victor Wembanyama should be the most valuable player. That's my opinion.
End of the day, man, it's crazy that at 22 years old, he is in the discussion with these guys. Like these guys that are in their late 20s. Jokic is early 30s at this point. It's pretty unbelievable that he's firmly in this discussion. And furthermore, I would bet whatever money's in my pocket right now that no matter what happens the rest of the way, no matter what happens in the postseason, because sometimes, like, even though it's a regular season award, like, people will sort of maintain momentum going into the next season. Sure. I think regardless of what happens, like, he's going to be the odds-on favorite to win MVP next year. Especially if he proves that, like, he can get through the 65-game threshold and all of that.
Yeah.
I think that he is going to firmly be the betting favorite to be the MVP next year heading into the season. So, and again, it's not over. Just saying, Shai just keeps doing his thing, and it seems like a mountain that may be a little bit too difficult to topple this time around. Okay. That's going to do it for the show today. I just want to remind y'all that Everydayer Club is let's go. Thank you, first of all, for tuning in to Locked On Spurs. We've got more Spurs deep dives coming your way every single day. Make sure you subscribe and follow us wherever you get your podcast so you get all the latest episodes. You can find me on Twitter, by the way, at Matthew_Tynan. You can also find me at the Corporate Knowledge newsletter. That's MatthewTynan.substack.com. That's where I write. I am going to be at certain points, especially as we get this podcast going, we find a good rhythm and everything. I'm going to be doing some sort of longer form, video podcast, things like that. So head on over there, subscribe. It's a different sort of vibe over there, but it's it's another way to consume content. Tyler, where can they find you, sir?
You can find me on Instagram at Tyler Prince Film, or I'm on Substack too at thevideoman.substack.com.
There we go. And everyone loves content. Everyone loves consuming content. We're just giving you more options. All right, if you never miss an episode, the Everydayer Club is built just for you. Get Locked On Spurs ad-free, plus a members-only Discord access and more. Head to lockedonspurs.supercast.com to join the club. For those of you on video, we send you to the first ever 24/7 national NBA YouTube channel. On audio, make sure you make your second listen NBA game night on Locked On NBA. For Tyler Prince, I'm Matthew Tynan. We'll talk to you all later.